How's it going, guys? There are only 24 hours in a day, and 10 of those you're asleep or doing something trivial. Um, and that means that you're about 14 hours of your day is dedicated to productive activity. And let's say that you're spending 2 hours a day fanboying. That's 1 over 7. That's uh, a seventh of your day dedicated to fanboying. And for me, that was about what is that? About 14% of your day. And if that's every day, that's 14% of your life dedicated to stupid shit. Some people, it's even more. Some people, it's even more. People like Iron Wolf, people like Morgana Days, people like JTech TV. I mean, these people are spending 14% of their life or more on YouTube fanboying for a product. Now, that product has to be pretty goddamn good for you to spend 14% of your life on it. Um, and now that PlayStation 4 exclusives are now coming to the PC, the PlayStation has essentially lost all of its identity. I thought that Sony was all about a console gaming, just like Nintendo was. I really thought that they would stay with it because of how successful Sony is right now, but they've decided against it. So, in my opinion, it makes it impossible to be a Sony fanboy now. And there's a recovery process. For me, I cannot be a Sony fanboy anymore. And so essentially, I've had to undergo psychological reprogramming over the last 24 hours. And I don't mean to put too much of an emphasis on it, but I literally needed to undergo psychological reprogramming in order to get over my Sony fandom. Oh, and it was pretty severe. It was pretty severe. I was spending about 2 hours a day, 14% of my life, listening to podcasts, listening to videos, watching videos, and really thinking about this shit. And I was always in like this state of, fuck Xbox, fuck PC gamers, they're a bunch of fucking losers. It was completely idiotic, but the reason that I did that is because I thought that, there is some value to fanboying. And I think I said this in my last video, that fanboys are valuable because occasionally a product is unfairly attacked, and so someone needs to be there to defend them, even if they're not a corporate slave. Someone needs to defend a product if it's being unfairly attacked. And I think the PlayStation 4 was unfairly attacked in its early days. I mean, the lineup wasn't great, but it did have decent games, and they were coming out all the time. I mean, Xbox fanboys back, I think it was 2015, they were attacking the PlayStation 4 for having no games after Bloodborne, which is like one of the best games ever made. I mean, that was ridiculous, and for someone to be neutral in that question while the PlayStation 4 is getting attacked is, in my opinion, ludicrous. But now that all of our games are going to PC, like, what are these people going to be doing? What is Iron Wolf? What is Adobe Potter and all these people? What are they going to be doing with their time? They're going to continue being corporate slaves, even though the product has essentially lost all of its identity. I have some notes here. So, essentially, that psychological reprogramming that I've had to undergo after stopping being a Sony fanboy is kind of difficult. There are lots of things that you could do with your free time. I've gotten a little bit more into pure mathematics right now. I know that people don't tend to care about your interests outside of gaming on a gaming-related channel, but I am an economist, and mathematics is greatly related to economics, and so understanding some of the fields of pure mathematics is valuable for economists. So I've tried to spend at least a portion of my fanboying time, which again is 14% of your life, on something that actually has a value. And And I'm trying to do that. Again, it's like you're recovering from a drug. It's like a drug. Sitting there in kind of this passive state, fanboying on the internet is basically a waste of time. Someone could say that I'm wasting my time right now by doing this, but I think I'm helping a lot of people. And I think the fact that now that Sony is bringing all their exclusives to PC, there are going to be a lot of people out there like me who find it no longer possible to be a Sony fanboy. So you have to ask yourself, as a fanboy, what is it that I want to do with my time that I was spending as a fanboy? Um, and if you have any kind of interest, any kind of hobby outside of fanboying, I would pursue that even more. And if you feel like that that takes too much effort, and yeah, I'll admit that studying pure mathematics outside of my field, it does take a lot of effort, and so I'll probably have to spend my downtime in a more passive way. Maybe playing games actually for once. I mean, I do play games, but uh, not nearly as little as I was while I was fanboying. So that's the first step, and you have to tell yourself that I'm going to have to undergo a process of reprogramming right now after spending hours and hours and hours crying on the internet, attacking PC, attacking whatever. I'm going to have to become a different person. And some people fanboy even more than me. Some people spend their whole day. I don't know what they do for a living, but they spend probably their whole day outside of work fanboying on the internet, which is pretty sad. I think the Mooch said that he spent how many 10 hours a week on podcasts. I mean, that's about 25% of a work week. Fanboying for no money on the internet. Now, I mean, they may have made a little bit of money here and there, but it was nothing. It was truly nothing. Now, what could he have spent his time instead of crying in podcasts doing with his life? Well, he could have been studying microbiology. He could have been doing all of his really interesting stuff on the side. He could have been studying music. He could have been actually doing something productive with his time, but instead he was crying on the internet, crying about Sony. And now the Xbox fanboys, they're going to be even more encouraged now that Sony has no games. They're going to be even more encouraged now. It's going to be hilarious. So the ranks of their rabid fanboys are going to increase, and the ranks of our Sony fanboys are going to decrease, and we're going to be a little bit more modest right now. So really analyze what you want to do with your time, and really first think about this. Think about what percentage of your day, of the 14 hours of your day, you're spending fanboying on the internet and crying, and ask yourself if that percentage is acceptable. And if it is acceptable, then continue doing it, and if it isn't acceptable, then stop doing it. But that's about it. Let me know what your opinions are in the comments section, and I'll see you next time.